How's it going?
Hey guys, it's Shelby and Michelle with Farmhouse Living, and welcome back to our channel. Today we are doing something a little different and a lot of fun. We are going to, it's a treasure hunted home tour is what we're calling it. So Mom and I are not good at shopping secondhand, antique, thrifting, vintage, all of that fun. We appreciate it and we know it's fun, and every single home tour we've taken you on, I feel like that's been the
theme.
Every time we go in a house and Mom's like, I don't have enough stuff, I don't have enough. So we want to show you what Mom has collected, her treasure hunted items, and kind of her thoughts on where she can add more character to her home. And then we have some friends. Luckily, our friends are experts at. We have Michelle Howell, who we're going to tour her home and look at all her fun finds, and she is like,
she's the best.
She can do things that look so expensive and they're like, oh, she's like, oh, I went to a garage sale.
I picked it up out of the yard.
And you're like, what? No.
What?
Yeah. No. And then Shannon Wilson, who is also amazing, and she has some amazing Facebook Marketplace finds, which I have no luck at all on. So they're gonna give us our tips, and we'll be able to do this and add character to our home because we have expert friends. And we're going to share our expert friend advice
with you.
So
stay tuned.
So they're coming in the doors.
Okay, so this piano was a treasure actually my son found on his college Facebook website of, you know, all the kids are ready to leave school and they want to get rid of their stuff, but they don't want to haul it all the way home. So he found this on his college website, Marketplace, and brought it home. It weighed 1 million pounds. We accidentally discovered the guts are gold, and so Shelby took the wood panel off so that we can see the inside, and it is really amazing to listen to Tyler play.
Love the gold.
Yeah,
piano with the gold guts.
Gold guts. And then the trays as well are your vintage finds.
Should we tell them that we just threw that up?
Well, yeah, I have footage. We
just put this up this morning because we really didn't have anything on this wall. I had decor from a baby shower still left up, and so we went ahead and put these.
So real life, like we were talking about earlier, it's not everything's perfect.
Right.
Sometimes. But
what are these plates called?
Ironstone.
Ironstone. Some of them are ironstone, I think. Some of them are just platters. Yeah, but
yeah, it's
a nice little fun mix. Our dough bowl came, it was dough bowl. The dough bowl came, it was at the Rustic Warehouse, but it was shoved in a corner behind a bunch of furniture, and I pulled it out and called the vendor and said, can you give me a discount because it was a little pricey? And she did, and I filled it with faux succulents. And I change it out though. Sometimes in the spring I put real flowers and those paper whites or, you know, different things. So it's kind of fun. This is a find from a vendor mall, an antique mall. And again, it is something that was a little pricier because it's a Remington. I'm not sure what that is, but I guess it's a name that were well constructed, really sought after, and so I had to pay the price for it. But I loved it and it fit perfectly in here, so we did. We like it.
This is the number one asked about item on the blog, and she got it from Canton.
Yes.
A giant flea market in Texas. I think that it adds character, so you just have to treasure hunt and find one. But I do wish that we could find a similar one. But yeah,
but it's really large, super substantial piece, and it was a great deal found in a flea market.
Yep.
I love the color of that wood.
So yeah.
She almost got rid of it when she moved to this house.
I really did. And then when I got here, I was so thankful I didn't get rid of it, because it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And then perfect.
Your last vintage or secondhand
antique mall. I don't know if it's antique or reproduction. Do y'all know? It's just a gold frame, and is kind of a knockoff from what all the cool kids are doing now.
The anthropology one?
Yeah.
Which just goes to show that you can do the knockoff and it still looks just as good.
Way more cost effective than
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
And it
for
looks
sure.
just as amazing.
Yeah.
So this table I probably bought 10 years ago. I lived in another house, small dining room, and it was going to be way too big, but I loved it. I wanted it so much. So I found it at a thrift store, and I went for probably 2 years, and I would ask every time, and they said, no, we can't sell it, it's display, it's display. And I found out one day that the thrift store was going to move into a smaller place. So I kind of used that to my advantage, and I said, you know, that's probably not going to fit. Would y'all sell it to me? And so finally the manager said, yeah, but you know, I'm gonna have to have $125 for that table. So, you know, after I fainted and got it off the floor, I took the table home and repainted it, and I've moved it to 3 houses now. So it probably will go to my grave. I don't know, there's something about it. I love it that we can see 8 people here.
It's big.
We can squeeze 10 if we need to, and finally I have a place that it fits. So this was probably one of my favorite deals.
Clearly you go thrifting a lot.
Regularly. And that's part of one of the things that I put in the blog post the other day about thrifting, is that people will message and say, will you find the best stuff? I don't find anything. You have to be consistent and you have to go often.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you don't go often, you're not going to find the good stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So that's, I think, a point for people to understand. You go all the time.
Yeah.
So how often do you think you go?
Well, it's hard. That's hard to say because, like, I don't even go every week, and I don't always hit the same one. But if I'm out driving around and I see a Goodwill, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
And I run in. So you know, and when I travel, I have the estate sale app on my phone. So like when I go out of town, if I have downtime, I use that app because it finds where you are, and it gives you the mileage order. And so when I go to Houston and McKenzie's, that's what we do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I can't say, oh, I go once a week, but I could say that I go often, like when we travel, that we'll do that like all day one day.
Yeah.
And I make sure I hit different ones. If I'm in Dallas,
Yeah.
I'll be, oh, I haven't been to that one. And then you know, is this a good one to go back to? Or that sort of thing. So these barn doors, we knew we wanted barn doors here to divide the living space from the kitchen area. And I looked and looked and I found some. I thought about having some made, and before I did all that, I found these in Round Top and just absolutely fell in love with them. So I bought them, and I had to wait several months until they had a big, like, 18-wheeler truck to come because they're each door is 6 feet wide and 10 feet tall, and they weigh like a bazillion pounds. And although I wouldn't say it was a thrifted find, they were a really, really, really great price for what they are and to fill this space. They came from an old carriage house, like a horse and buggy carriage house in Iowa. So I thought it was so cool that the guy knew the story. So anyway, we designed this wall and that opening around these. The idea was that we could close this off and have a space for the guys in here to watch TV and the girls in there. We never closed these doors, but I'm glad that I didn't realize that then, because I might not have done it and made the investment. And it is definitely the focal point probably in my whole house.
Yeah.
Even though we don't. We can close them, but we just don't. So this is definitely one of my favorite features.
Railing separate? Did you have to get that made?
It was separate. He didn't have the railing, and so I had those made at a place in Dallas. And because we bought the doors before the house was built, we were able to put a second beam in the wall for them to anchor to, because I just don't think there's any way that these massive doors would have hung in a regular stud. So we had a support beam built in the wall to hold these.
Wow.
That's so smart when you're building a house to know these things first.
Right.
Well, yeah, because it adds character to a new build that you would not be able to. I mean, you could do with decor, but I mean that adds another layer.
Yeah, and it definitely is a focal point since it's right in the front door. So.
Oh yeah.
Those corbels were from a resale shop, and I bought the pair of those for $45, so that was a deal. And then we had the mantle, kind of just basically a box made out of wood that's left over from the ceiling. I'll show you in the bedroom. So that was kind of a fun, one of my favorite things, and that total probably wasn't $100.
So fun.
Is this?
This is a round top and another thing that I bought to fit this wall. I wanted a piece that would fill most of this space because I knew if I do a smaller piece, now you've got wasted space and I'm gonna, you know, what are you gonna do with that? So I love that this piece pretty much filled this wall and it gave me tons of space for storage.
Yeah.
She was downtown Garland for a while, where Wild Grace is now. And when Emily had the store, we were building the house, that was standing out in the rain behind her store.
Wow.
And I saw it and I couldn't decide because I was trying to decide about doors for the house. And I kept thinking, I don't know, do I want an arch door? It was in good shape. The bones were in good shape, but the paint was literally peeling off in layers. And I couldn't decide. And for several weeks, every time I'd go back to her store, it was still standing there. And I kept thinking it would just work on me. So I finally went back and she made me a deal on it. And my one regret is I spent so much time and I stripped the door down to the bare wood, but then I had them painted. And I really wish I had left the natural color because it looked like that really cool bleached European pine.
Yeah.
And I'm really sad that because it lost a lot of the patina and the character. I left that's the black enamel doorknob and the original plate that was on it. But I wish I had left, the natural wood of the door. But I do love it and I'm glad that I went with the arch door.
Do you recover, like, are these all new or?
Well, this is an Ikea along with that one. And I love them because they're slip covered.
Yeah.
And so I love that I can pull it off and wash it. And when I first bought the white, my husband was like, well, you really can't really have a white sofa. And I'm like, yeah, because you can bleach it. And the other ones you really can't bleach. So it's great because I just pull it off, throw it in the wash. And this was actually my great-grandmother's. And it was that awful green, shiny fabric. So I had this recovered years ago. And that I bought at a vintage shop recently, and it was recovered in a drop cloth, painter's drop cloth.
And then you had those made. Look at
I
that.
did, and this kind of was a find. This was a Facebook Marketplace find. I wanted the Parsons chair slip covered look bar stools here, and I couldn't find anything I liked. So I had seen the ones at Ikea, and I thought about buying them, but I saw on Facebook Marketplace this guy was moving out of state, didn't want to move his. He didn't want to move these things. And so he was selling the 2 Ikea chairs. So I went and got them and they are just a plain fabric and these were actually black legs. So I had the lady that sews for me make the washable linen slip covers and then I painted the legs white. So these were $20 for the pair.
Oh,
and I had the slip cover made. So you can find things on the Facebook Marketplace, estate sales, thrift stores. Just be a little bit creative. Again, I didn't want black legs. Took me 30 minutes to paint them white and then have the slip covers made. Okay. If I see it and I love it, I try to think of, will this fit? What are other ways I'm going to use it? And so I think because when we were building this house, I wanted it to have a lot of character and a lot of architectural detail. And so I think my mind was open to that. Yeah. And when I saw this in an antique store in South Texas, I knew I needed a sink in the house, and I'd already been trying to think of some different ways to do sinks. Like in the bathrooms, they're all, for the most part, they're in a piece of furniture, and I did a vessel sink. So my mind was already thinking about how and where can I use different things. And so when I saw this, it's a European animal feeding trough. I just thought that would be perfect. Yeah. It's large. It'd be great in my laundry room. So I think just thinking about different ways that you can use things, and if you find pieces you love, you usually will find a way to make it work. Them and make it work.
Yeah. Where'd y'all treasure hunt those?
I need to know what thrift store you're going.
Yeah.
And this was coming out of a teardown in a nice area in Dallas, and they were selling this for $100. So I thought that was such a steal. I think we may have even already moved in the house, but I needed some kind of cool mantle to frame it out. So I think it just really made the space. And this was a Facebook Marketplace. This was an Ikea chair, which I think I mentioned inside. I have the sectional and the love seat. I love them because they're slip covered. This is obviously outdoors, and even though it's protected from rain, it gets really dusty and dirty. So occasionally I can pull this off, I can wash it, dry it, put it back on. So I love to mix things like that. Obviously very antique and vintage. This is newer, but it functions out here. And again, I think what helps me mix a lot of styles is that I stay with the neutral, and so it all just flows together since I don't have a lot of color and a lot of things going on.
I bought these like 2 days before I left to go on vacation, and I made it my goal to make sure I finished them before I went on vacation. So thank goodness I have a very handy husband. But I found these on the, actually the story is I found another set, because I love caneback. I found another set on the Facebook Marketplace, and I went to look at them from some very sweet lady in Highland Park, and they had like arms on them, but that would need to have been reupholstered. And I didn't feel confident that I could reupholster the actual arms. So I was thinking in my mind, like, should I buy them and have them reupholstered? Because I normally like to do things myself. But she said, oh, I have another set up in my attic if you want to come look at them. And I was like, well, of course I want to come look at them. Believe it or not, this table is that Pottery Barn table, the farmhouse, I think the original Farmhouse Pottery Barn table that they started selling years ago. I bought it when I was in my other house on the Facebook Marketplace for $50. Well, they listed it for $75. I asked them if they'd take $50, because I don't mind doing that. I can't do that in person. I kind of have a hard time asking. But somehow, if I'm behind the screen, I don't mind like just asking if they'll take less for it.
Yeah.
So I got it for $50. I got a bunch of teenage boys to go pick it up for me. And the only reason I have this table, this little place setting out, is because I had my first experience at a flea market last week. I don't normally go to flea markets except for Canton. So we stopped at the flea market and I bought these. And I knew that they would be so pretty at Thanksgiving with my only brown transferware, which it's not really even transferware, but with bunnies on it. So I thought this would, I bought it planning for the fall, even though I'm not using them quite yet. Every time I leave town, if I go to a doctor's appointment in Dallas, or I go to Mesquite, or I always just sit in my car right before I go to leave and say, thrift store near me, and Google it. And I just go to that Goodwill or that thrift store, and I found some really good stuff. And some that I go back for. Yeah. Like that Goodwill in Mesquite is really good. And I've gone back twice since.
I think if you find the good ones, and you frequent those, you tend, I don't know, they tend to kind of be the honey hole, if you will, for the ones that you will find time to go back to those certain ones.
This right here, because I love rabbits, every time somebody comes to my house, they ask me where that came from, and that came from Canton, the Canton Marketplace. It's like $20 hidden in the back of some place in November. It'd probably be $50 in March, but because it was November, they were just wanting to get rid of it.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's a good tip.
Shopping.
For sure, yeah.
Out of season.
Yeah, out of season's the best way to shop. If you can do that. Sometimes I struggle with that, but not so much with rabbits. If I see them, or like a hare, you know, not really a rabbit, but like a hare like that, then I just pick them up. Sometimes I don't even look at the price, if they're that cute. These are Facebook Marketplace from the sweetest lady in downtown McKinney. And when I showed up to buy these, they were really inexpensive. I don't remember, like $20 each or something. Because I got them probably 2 years ago before the big vintage mirror hype, I think. She's like, when I said, can you put them on your porch? She said, I'd rather you come pick them up because I want you to look at them first because they're really old. So I was like, okay, but I'm sure I'm still going to get them is what I thought. But yeah. Okay, well, I'll go look at them. So I bought these from her. She was precious. Those are a downtown McKinney find. I found those in, what is the name of that shop in downtown McKinney? That's so cute. Next to the antique mall. Chase Hall. Chase Hall, yes. They were actually my anniversary present. My husband and I, that's what we did for our anniversary that year. We just went to downtown McKinney and had lunch and went shopping. And we found them and I fell in love with them because I love the original hardware on them. Yeah. And the guy who sold them to us there said that these came from a church in Paris from the 1800s or something. I don't know how true that is, but that's what he told us. So That's what I tell people.
That's what I tell
But I would have bought them if they came from, I don't care where they came from. I love them.
they're perfect.
I love their hardware. And quite honestly, I love them so much, they're really just a decorative piece because they don't necessarily fit if I close the doors. But I never close the doors, so I don't care.
Would you take these with you if you moved?
Yes, my husband said that. He said, I don't think we should buy them because they don't fit. It's just for decoration. And when we try to sell this house, people are not going to like that they don't close. And I said, well, when we try to sell this house, those are coming down.
Yep.
Because they're coming with me. I'm not going to show the house with those on there because I'm taking them with me wherever I go.
Okay, what?
My very favorite ever Facebook market. So this is Facebook and thrift store marketplace because I found it on the Facebook marketplace, but the lady was listing for a thrift store in Rowlett.
Is it the one?
The movie theater seats. Paul always says, I'm so glad I'm not a drunk. If I came home, I might not know where the couch is. Now we have that sectional, so I can't move it. But these I found on the Facebook marketplace, and they had a green, really old looking cover on it. So I just took that off and flipped them over. And then I just sanded them and I went over it with white wax. I didn't even paint them.
They look awesome.
I just love them.
Down there.
That came with the house.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? But you know what it is?
No.
I'm gonna show you what this is.
Oh, your bunny art.
That's Facebook. Look at, this is so cool.
Oh!
It's an ironing board.
Was that here during the tour?
Yes.
I totally missed it.
But guess what? I never use it because A, I don't like to iron. But B, where's the plug?
Yeah.
There's no plug. So unless I can find a steam-free iron, I don't use it. But it's cute. Paul wanted to rip it down when we first moved in, and I was like, no.
No.
You need to leave that.
Yeah, I love that.
I find new stuff on Facebook Marketplace too, like this daybed is Ikea, and I found it on Marketplace, and I just painted it.
It looks vintage. It's fun.
This I found on the Facebook Marketplace, and I just deconstructed it myself and painted it. Really just I sanded it and then whitewashed it. Like I watered down some white paint and rubbed it on. So I didn't want to paint the whole thing. I feel like I have a lot of painted furniture.
Yeah, it's good to add wood for a little bit of character.
Just a different.
Okay guys, so we have toured these lovely ladies' homes and showed you some of their favorite treasures and their best tips on thrifting and Facebook Marketplace and antique shopping. So you guys need to tell them where they can find you online. What is your...
I am vintagehomedesigns.com is my blog, and Vintage Home Designs on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
And I am My Little White Barn on Instagram and mylittlewhitebarn.com on my blog.
Yeah, so make sure to follow them. They have the best tips and clearly the best style.
Subscribe.
Oh yeah, Mom's ready to tell you. So like, subscribe, and have a great day.